So welcome everyone. It's a great pleasure to see so many people today, and it's another proof that these kinds of webinars about healing are really in demand. So today's topic is gathering the healing energy for transmission to others, and I think this is not the last webinar devoted to healing because it is such a popular and, as I mentioned, demanded topic. So my personal belief is that any meditation, really, just meditation in itself is healing, but it's of course more important to gain awareness and about, how your energy works, so that you can do more with it. So you can not only build up gradually your awareness while you're meditating, become more conscious in everyday life, become more awakened, but also be able to heal yourself and eventually heal others and helping to make this world better. I guess this is our ultimate mission for everyone who is here. And here, Judith, I pass the word to you.
Thank you. Your comments are astute as always, Oksana, even at some early morning hour in Australia. We appreciate your ushering us in. So I just want to welcome everyone in turn and say how wonderful it is to see each of you. Of course, you could be doing a million other things. And as Oksana said, this is your presence here is testament to your understanding of the power, the evolutionary power in brainwaves and consciousness and the way that we affect the world and the people around us simply by our healing intention. Probably all of us know people who are ill at this point. And I certainly have found myself spending a lot of time in meditation, sending healing energy for at least 4 people who are in some pretty dire straits right now. And of course, they're doing the same for themselves. And I might also add a little personal note, which is relevant to this program. And it's that this is actually how I got involved in this awakened mind work. Back in 1999, I went to Esalen Institute to take a seminar with Anna Wise. No, it was 2001 because it was the week before 9/11. And I was really excited when during a Kundalini meditation where I actually connected with my, what I call the luminous field. Afterwards, Anna showed me my brainwaves and said, well, and I had reported to her that that was a feeling, was a familiar place for me. And she had been just drawing these evolved mind circles. And she said, I think you ought to find out why this is a familiar place. So I went down to the sanctuary and meditated and realized that more often than not, the moment when I enter that luminous field, which turned out to have been the evolved mind pattern, is when I'm sending healing prayers for others at the end of meditation. So that got me really interested in the concept of light, because I experience it as light in the third eye and the crown. And so I started doing my own healing studies, which of course Max Cade did many of, and Anna did them, although with Qigong masters rather than energy healers, who are energy healers in their own way, but different intentions with those 2 different modalities. So so that's the purpose of this program. And I also wanted to share with you some really interesting information. 2 things. The first one is that this month is being released a study that I did in cooperation with Dawson Church. Some of you know Dawson. He is an EFT guru and a best-selling author. He has a book out now called Mind to Matter. He's a close collaborator with Joe Dispenza. He's right up there with Joe, connecting science and spirituality and explaining how things like hands-on and distance healing actually work, what's going on in the body, what's going on in the mind. And both of them are intensely interested in brainwaves. Dawson's book has, 40 pages on the mind mirror, patterns and what people are experiencing, and he is completely committed, and his commitment in allowing me to write up this, I think it's more than 18 pages, might be a 20-page study in the Energy Psychology Journal that's being published this month, is doing wonders for the credibility and familiarity within the scientific and the medical communities of the mind mirror and what it can do. So it's a really big plus for us. And I want to share with you a couple of the statistically significant findings in this study, which is titled, gosh, I have to go and look at it. He had the title came up for him in a dream one night. EcoMeditation and emotional freedom techniques produce elevated brainwave patterns and states of consciousness. And so what the background to this study is that Laura Eichmann and I went to the Open Center and measured 8 people, each 4 people, late October, I think, of 2017. 4 of those people were sometimes meditators. 2 of them were dedicated meditators. They were just self-selected, volunteered out of the audience. And it took us a long time to work through the data, and then I didn't realize it was going to be a study. So boy, did we learn how to do studies in the process of streamlining our protocols and everything. But by the time it was all over with and Dawson fed the statistics, the Mind Mirror training summary statistics, into a SPSS 25.0, which is something that produces P scores, which tell you what is statistically significant. This study found, and I have to say that what they considered statistically significance, this community would say, holy cow, how did that possibly happen in 2 days' time? Both eyes open and eyes closed increases in their scores for the awakened mind, the evolved mind, and gamma synchrony. But these P scores are so incredibly stringent that what they found as being the most powerful scores through the EFT tapping, and I guess everybody knows what that is, emotional freedom technique. Just nod your head if you know what that is. Yeah, you're tapping on acupuncture points, meridians, to heal issues. And so it was a combination of EFT and this particular meditation that I'll talk a little bit more about, because it's the one close to the one we're doing today, this thing, EcoMeditation. So these scores are for the whole weekend, a combination of EcoMeditation on Sunday, and then the EFT tapping and the program itself, the theories and everything he was explaining over the whole 2 days. So it turned out that there was statistical significance, a large effect in the eyes open awakened mind scores by as much as 31, 39, and 41 percentage points. I mean, I see some of you going, holy cow. And so this is such a wow factor to us, because what this says is that these people externalized their alpha. They cleared enough issues over the course of the weekend out of their theta. They made enough contacts with their own source of being in theta and delta that they were able to relax and externalize that alpha. A 41% score increase for training level 5 for the awakened mind with the eyes open is absolutely stunning. The others there was a eyes open gamma synchrony score for the whole weekend by as much as 46%. This too was statistically significant. I would say so, although we know the secret side of this and have to say, you know, people can be thinking with their gamma with their eyes open. So we would say, yeah, it's statistically significant, but let's make sure that it was a matter of transcendence. So there wasn't quite enough follow-up to make sure that it was not talking or stress rather than transcendent. That was a tiny bit suspect. But the important thing, and so just to show you, 5 out of the 8 people increased their eyes closed awakened mind scores by as much as 25%. In 2 days, we would be totally jubilant if we had, even seasoned meditators, it just takes time. This is, we're talking about 75% to 100% increase at training level 5 with your eyes closed. That's going from the bottom level of those training level 5 scores to the highest possible level. So that's phenomenal. And then 3 people increased their evolved mind scores for eyes open and eyes closed. Again, eyes open, that's a little suspect, because if you're dropping out your gamma with your eyes open, well, the software is going to interpret that as a circle when really it's just that you lost your gamma. But for eyes closed, that's one heck of an increase. And so now then to the part that's directly relevant to us here in this program, and that is Dawson Church's EcoMeditation. Dawson is the first one to admit that he excerpted or extracted portions of EcoMeditation from other proven techniques for enhancing and evolving consciousness. To begin with, he has people tap and then set an intention for the meditation. They don't really know what's coming. They just know that this is Dawson's big meditation. And in fact, you can find it online. It's free on his EFTuniverse.org. It lasts about 20 minutes. And so we did a pre-test baseline on them with eyes closed, and then EcoMeditation for the 20 minutes, starting with the tapping and then him leading with verbal guidance, the meditation. And then we did a post-test. So what's interesting about EcoMeditation, after the tapping, then they go to heart coherence, just breathing. If you know how to meditate, then they'll kind of just drop into a meditation state. And then all he does, the entire rest of the meditation, is have people send compassion and love to themselves in the same way that heart math does, right? To send it to yourself and to your own heart, and then to send it to others. So this is just dead on what happens in gathering the healing energy for transmission to others. And of course, we have seen this meditation was written by Anna and only guided by her at Esalen during the the EEG and spirituality seminar, because she knew good and well that what you're doing is you're moving light. You're amplifying your own energy through intention. You are focusing in a coherent and almost laser-like way energy either to yourself or outside of yourself. And when you're doing that, you're actually processing energies out of the field, because it's the field that out of which we are made, this quantum sea of light, that these energies are coming out of and are amplifying in order for you to send them out to heal. Even if you don't agree with that, we can talk about it later, but let's leave it like that for the moment. So the post-test showed that every single person, all 8 of them, during the EcoMeditation, again, which is very similar to what you're going to do in this program, generated high amplitude 45 to 65 hertz gamma frequencies and vastly increased their gamma synchrony values. Some at the top of the statistical scale. I'm talking 83% gamma synchrony, 95% gamma synchrony for training level 5. Unheard of values that we've only really seen at the Monroe Institute when people have the support of the gamma beads. And even then, infrequently. They had a massive, these increases in the gamma, they did everything that we're teaching, everything that I've found and been sharing with you since 2005, 2011. is that these gamma frequencies, gamma synchrony high statistics, serve to stabilize their alpha, to increase their alpha coherence, and also their coherence in delta and gamma. Some of them, I mean, I'm going to send you or make available through Oksana on the website a copy of this study, but some of them would have, high coherence in their alpha, and then super low coherence way down here, meaning amplitude symmetry and waveform synchronization, super low coherence down here, all the way across, all the way up to 100 hertz. And during this study, what we saw was same high coherence in alpha and rising coherence, way, way up, mid-range to high range, as an average from the pre-test to the post-test. They had increases of up to 17 points, an average of 7 across all 8 people, 17 points in the eyes open awakened mind. That was also considered to be statistically significant. Oh yeah. Now this is, we're talking a pre-test, 20-minute meditation, and then a post-test, and they averaged 17 points higher. And 2 people who had disorganized brainwave patterns the first day, during meditation, during EcoMeditation, they reached coherence on the second day, and that coherence carried into their baseline scores. So that was pretty impressive. But the thing that I found most impressive and amusing is that they found a statistical outlier for the evolved mind pattern during EcoMeditation, because there were so many evolved mind flares that whatever this SPSS 25.0 is, said, there's no way that's true. That must be a mistake. Nope. No mistake there at all. That's exactly what we're saying is happening. Because remember, that evolved mind pattern contains 2 bands of gamma from 30 to 44 hertz. So when they increased their gamma synchrony from 44 to 64 hertz, they were also, that gamma synchrony pattern, statistically significant increase in the awakened mind, and so many evolved mind patterns that the program didn't know what to do with it. So that is some pretty cool stuff. Of course, I'm really excited because at this point, in terms of scientifically controlled studies that are published in journals, we've only got 2. One is by our Richard Schuster, the psychiatrist in Hawaii, who used the lucid dreaming. He calls it lucid dreaming. Really, it's just guiding people through a meditation like we do, but whatever. And so he had that published in the Journal of Creative Studies. That was big, a really big journal. And now this one in the Energy Psychology Journal, another big study. And what we need to do now, and it's really just sunk in for me, and I would encourage you to think about this yourself and see if there's some way we can collaborate on this, especially practitioners, self-trainers also, is, do you have a P-score from your very first self-training session, or sessions that you're doing with clients or subjects, so that you're tracking them? They're going through the river of life relaxation, the animal sensualization. These are practitioner, we use these with our students, the house of doors, the personal transformation. And have you trained X number of clients or subjects, and are you keeping track of the training summaries? So let's pool these statistics and start doing some studies on how awakened mind training itself is a phenomenon. Yeah, that's what we really need to do next. And so there's 2 other things. One is that along those lines, please send some of your energy toward a very possible and very exciting thing that could happen after the next Discovery program, which is just August the 9th through 16th down in Virginia. I'm going with Felice Dubois, and my daughter Rachel is serving as a monitor. I've just trained her. And Nikate Kaitan is coming to get further training on how to be a monitor. And so we have a program with 12 people. And after the program, if all goes well, this is what to send energy to. I will get to go to the Rhine Institute in North Carolina, which, as you know, is the oldest parapsychological research center in the United States, and for all I know, the world. And what they're doing is studying healers. And they have a biophoton emissions machine thingy. I'm sure it has some delightful name, which I don't know. But what they found is that healers who are sending energy to people, or compared to the 4 biophotons per second emitted by non-healers, just ordinary people, are sending up to 400 and some 1 million biophotons per second. So this is why I say it's all about light. This is what they're finding too. So if he can schedule the healers for after TMI, then I'll get to go down to their lab and hook people up to the mind mirror. He has actually acquired a couple of mind mirrors, so I'm going to show him how to use them. And he's going to start hooking people up. So that would be a study from heaven right there, to be able to. Can you imagine what this would look like on the mind mirror? I mean, we already know. I can guarantee you what we're going to see is these healers go from awakened mind patterns to bottom half of evolved mind patterns. They're going to start flaring into evolved minds, and then they're going to flare into 64 hertz gamma, and then we're going to see 100 hertz gamma, and then the rest of it above 100 hertz we're not going to be able to see, except that Steve Clark has a serious advance in the EEG sensor and the DSUs that will be able to see 200 hertz at some point in the future. So that's pretty exciting. And now the other thing is, since we're talking about light, I promised that I would tell you about this thing. So this is a study that came out. I subscribe to Neuroscience News. Anybody can. It's fascinating. They send you every single day, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 links to important articles that have to do with consciousness or, health, all kinds of stuff, how it affects the brain. This one was published in Neuroscience News, June 12, 2019, and it's titled, Researchers Identify Hidden Brain Signals Behind Working Memory. It's not a very long study. Of course, I have got my little marks everywhere because I was really excited about it, and you may well be too, but here's the upshot. What they found is that shining light, coherent light, just light, through tiny glass fibers over rats who were being taught to navigate a maze, or they were studying them also to see how fast they could navigate them on their own. This is a series of controlled experiments. That this light shining through the tiny glass fibers activated neurons in their hippocampus, which is memory storage and retrieval, and it increased their memory 10 to 15%. So everybody get a light bulb. Just wear it in a little thing right over your head. I mean, this is light. This is just 5 sensory material world light. We're talking about spiritual light as being the stimulator or the activator. If you don't want to call it spiritual light, you can call it light, the light that decomposes everything in the biophotonic quantum field. Same stuff. It said that basically that shining this light, the effect that it had in the hippocampus was it extended sharp wave ripples and caused resonance and the integration of sluggish, slower firing neurons, which have greater plasticity. So not only could the rats learn better when they were exposed to light, they increased their capacity to learn better, I suppose, with more neurons. but also this wonderful coherence resonance effect with these sharp wave ripples and these other ripples. So it's all coming down to light. I mean, I've known it since the first time I saw it in meditation. How about you? Why don't we have a little discussion about it? So I'm not the only head talking here. How about we hear from anybody that wants to talk about experiences of light and higher consciousness in regular meditation, and or in meditations where they were actually transmitting energy, or non-meditations. Can we just open this up to anybody who wants to unmute and further our discussion? All hands welcome.
Well, I don't mind jumping in as the newbie here. It's lovely to be connected to this beautiful community. Thank you again, Joel, and thank you for helping me get acclimated, Judith.
My great pleasure.
I am, as you mentioned, I'm a medical doctor, and I also trained in acupuncture and the 5 elements of Chinese medicine. And about 8 years ago, I started doing Qigong practice. And it just sort of happened naturally, but I happened to have, in 2005, while I was on the French Riviera, I had an out-of-body experience. And during it, it was really like a near-death experience, though I didn't have any trauma or accident or flatline experience. I was in complete surrender because of complete despair. I was at a real low point, a dark night of my soul. I won't say, it was actually a dark night of the ego, because it was when my soul really took flight. But in this out-of-body experience, I actually saw a vision, which is now relevant. At the time, it made no sense. I saw this vision of me in a future where I was healing with my hands. And at the time, being a regular doctor, I was like, really? Really, God? You're going to make me into a woo-woo doctor? Like, what? But fast forward to 2011, I started doing this Qigong practice, a medical version of Qigong called Jineng, which was practiced in this hospital in China where pretty much the sickest of the sick were just sent there because they were either inoperable with their tumors or what have you. And through a process of visualization, meditation, and breath work, people were having these remarkable recoveries. And so I started practicing this in 2011, and I got a phone call from a friend, an American living in Amsterdam, who said, listen, doc, you're my last resort. I'm being scheduled for surgery. And he said he'd been laying on his back literally for weeks. And I always tell people there are like 3 places you don't want to be operated on if you can avoid it. One is obviously the brain. The other one is the foot, because those little foot joints are really tricky. And the other one is the spine. If you can avoid being operated on your spine, just for obvious reasons. So anyway, I told him, look, maybe this distance healing thing could work. He was a little bit skeptical, and I wasn't even actually authorized by my teacher to actually do it. But I figured he's desperate. He was about to undergo surgery. So I said, listen, I want you to just be in a receptive state. And I didn't want to tell him too much of what I was going to do because it seemed really woo-woo to him. So I said, just be in a receptive state. And at 9:30, I will start the process. So I did, and finished doing my process. And then at like 10:30, my phone or Skype starts ringing, and I'm like, you're going to wake up my kid. It was at night. So I log into Skype, and I'm like, what's going on? And he said, what did you do? And I was really nervous because, again, my Qigong master told me you could start fires and blow things up with this stuff, with this gathering and sending of energy. But I said, well, tell me what you experienced. And he said, well, first of all, I have no pain. This is the first time I've been able to get up and walk to the toilet instead of peeing in a jar for weeks. And he said, tell me what you did. So I said, what did you experience? And he said he experienced, the weird thing is he experienced everything in the exact sequence that I did it. And the first thing was this light, as you were talking about before. He saw this light arriving at the crown and then descending into him and filling him with just love, and then trickling down his spine. And I kind of sat there nodding, going, okay. And as he described each step of how he felt and what he experienced, it was exactly what I was doing. So it was the first time that I realized, okay, there's something to this. And I've since, over time, kind of I don't know if I've perfected it, maybe the mind mirror will tell me, but I've been teaching a 5-step meditation process for people who had experienced trauma or addiction, eating disorders for about 15 years. And now that I'm teaching it around the world, I want to see if other people can tune into these same brain states where they can collect this healing energy, transmitting it into light or love, like we do the compassion meditation as well, and then the visualization. Because I've now, since 2011, had incredible results with people getting these effects. And I just want to empower other people to be able to do it themselves, which is where I'm hoping the mind mirror will come in. And studies. I'm also kind of a nerdy clinician. I started a company last year with the intention of being able to validate many of the modalities that I teach and that fellow light workers are doing. So what you just described is like spot on for me. Thank you.
That's a fantastically wonderful story. Thank you so much for sharing it. I mean, it's real, isn't it? In fact, there's a new movie. Somebody was here studying last week from Tel Aviv, of all things, and he's the one who told me about a new movie on Netflix called Heal. Just Heal. Awesome. I mean, they're not so much talking about light, but they're talking about the power of healing, where the most incredible story to me was, should I spoil it? Spoiler alert. Spoiler
Yes.
alert. Okay, I won't tell you anything about it. You'll watch it and you'll love it. There's an incredible healing. I'll tell you. So this one woman had lymphoma, and I think that was it, where her lymph nodes all over her body were just filled with so much cancer. She was covered with it everywhere there was a lymph node. She had these gigantic growths, and her organs shut down, and she went into the hospital. She was in the hospital, her organs shut down, and she had a out-of-body / near-death experience, and she became aware of her deceased father, and her father there was nothing said. It was just that she felt this incredible love being transmitted from him, and she felt incredible amount of love, just the most intense, indescribable love in her for him. And she had always felt that there was nothing in her life that she could possibly do to please her father, and she carried this sort of inadequacy thing her whole life. And she realized in those moments that was one of the reasons she had the cancer, that there were other reasons, and now she understood those reasons. But suddenly she found herself back. She was first told that she could either cross over into that world, or she could come back, and if she came back, that her body would be completely healed. Well, she came back, and hello, she was dying, and then suddenly she's alive and vital, and within a week she's still in the hospital. All the tumors were completely gone, and she hasn't had a recurrence of cancer. So these spontaneous healings, these experiences with light, they are extremely real. And I would wager that there are some of you who have had experiences that you would be willing to share, if only in meditation something wild and wonderful happens. Can we open it up to you again?
One time, and I think the episode you were talking about earlier, we were traveling and Marianne was at our table. I decided to go to my higher self if I could get there, and decided I was going to grab Marianne's energy and take it with me. And I reached out, grabbed her hand, not physically, but energetically, and we went, and I got there, and it was a place of light. It was beautifully white. There was love, there was empathy, there was compassion, there was an extremely strong feeling of connectedness to all there is. And I damn well didn't want to come back, but we had to. And one of the remarkable things there was that I think Marianne saw my hand reaching out to take her, which was pretty remarkable because I hadn't told her I was going to do that. And I'm not sure at this point what the mind mirror was saying because we were all hooked up then, but every time I've been there, it's been a place of light.
Thank you for sharing that, Jim. I actually wasn't thinking about that particular instance, although I'm so glad you mentioned it, because what was happening was that Jim and the recipient of that healing energy, I'm not going to say any more about her name or ask her to say anything about it, but they were trading brainwave patterns. And that was really interesting. I mean, the gamma was transferring over, and then her awakened mind patterns were transferring back over to Jim, so that you could just absolutely see the exchange taking place. And after the meditation, she said, before he said anything about it, she said, Jim was in my meditation sending energy, sending healing energy. And that was before Jim had told me or told her that he was in the meditation sending healing energy. So that was pretty astonishing, really. Jim has an enormous amount of beautifully balanced gamma over some beautiful high amplitude theta and delta. And I know I can say that because we've shown these brainwaves before. And then, Joel, I wonder if you have anything to add to this.
This reminds me of my own self-healing journey, really. I think what started me understanding that we have this healing power and the power to transmit energy. I was living in New York City, and I got really, really, really sick, and I had been hospitalized 2 times, and I was really at the desperation point, I would say. There was noise in my room and outside, and I was incredibly weak too. So I just got out of my bed, took my IV pole into the little bathroom, and I was just at the point of saying, help. And the little voice inside of me said, do you want to stay here or do you want to leave? I think that's when Jim said, why would anyone want to come back? That's part of what reminded me of this story. And I just was stunned. And the voice very calmly said, do you want to stay or do you want to leave? And I realized in that moment, okay, I want to stay. And what I realized was that it's totally my choice. And so I wheeled myself back to my bed, and 2 days later, I was out of the hospital. Whereas all the medical world had told me that I would have this condition for the rest of my life. And with that experience, then I've been able to go on in my life, and I have experienced distance healing. My sister works with all kinds of healers that do that. And I remember the first time, I think she was in Mexico and I was here in France, and I go upstairs to this little place that I love to be, and we call each other, and then I just receive. And the same kind of thing that you were talking about, Andrea, when we call back, I said, this is what I experienced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it's exactly what she was doing to work on me. So I understand that this is, I just know that this is possible, and I know that we all have this capacity for that. And the other piece that I want to say, because actually for me, this self-healing and self-liberation is really what is my calling, I think. And I just had a really very interesting experience that it's my birthday time right now. And I've just been actually doing Alberto Violdo's Grow a New Body protocol. I always experiment with fasting. I've always done that in my birthday month, just as a kind of renewal thing. But I did his protocol because I'm fascinated with what he has to say and how he's so involved in the neuro side of it, and he's talks about what's happening in our body and that we need to couple that with our relationship with spirit. So I've been in the middle of this process. I also just got called. It was a call that said that Siddhartha of Hermann Hesse came to me. And I'm the only one of my age that didn't read this book years and years and years ago. But I read it right now for my birthday, and I would take one chapter at a time. I would get up in the morning, sit in the sun, and dive into that meditative state that actually, Judith, I said that I want to go be with Judith again, to go back and have some meditation time. And all of a sudden this webinar showed up. So that was one of the things that happened. But I would take one chapter at a time and just savor it. And what happened is that I just felt like my whole past and the path up before me was just illuminated by reading that book of Siddhartha. And one of the amazing things that happened was on my birthday, I read the chapter that's called The Ferryman. And I just understood, oh, that's who I am now in life. That is what my calling is in life. And so as I was reading it, they were talking about what the river what we can learn from the river. And one of the things that they talked about was this timelessness. And I've had all of these dreams in my past that taught me about timelessness. And one of those was one of the times that I was in a meditation with you, Judith. And so it's just this understanding of all that stuff. So actually, the reason that I'm here about gathering energy for healing others is that I want to integrate this into the work that I'm doing right now. And I've understood that the big arc of the work that I'm doing with people and myself is really called setting ourselves free. And not me helping someone else set themselves free, or someone helping me set myself free, but that we set ourselves free by coming together. And that's really how I would like to use this kind of healing energy that I know that is available to all of us. So that's what I have to share tonight.
That's beautiful, Joel. You're taking us right on into our meditation with your beautiful resonant voice. The singer, I don't know if everybody knows it, Joel was for many years a Broadway and opera singer in New York and all over the world. How dear that each of you has tuned in a timeless way. I mean, there's no separation as we meditate together. And at some point, we're going to do some cloud-based meditations with people hooked up and gather some data that way. But for right now, our best group experience is connected to each other. So how about we just ask you to get comfortable in your chair. If you're ready to go, just close your eyes. And when you're ready, allow your mind to remember your meditation state. Remember the depth of meditation. What it feels like inside. What your landmarks and keys are, and begin to return to that place now. Begin to take that depth of meditation into you. It's almost a sense of moving through different states of consciousness as you go down. Down and in. Down and in. Down and in. As you move deeper into your meditation, you can feel the various tensions in your body letting go. Throughout your body, waves of relaxation and release. Letting go. Allow any thoughts, images, or outside disturbances to become completely irrelevant as you move into that deeper state which is within you. Perhaps you find a light there, or colors. Signposts to help you on your journey. Guidance to take you further and deeper to a place that opens inside you. A place of freedom. A place that knows no bounds, has no limits, other than the limits you choose to impose. From within this space now, you can begin to contact the healing energy that exists in the universe. You might sense it as a vibration, as a light, as a sound, or a voice, a vision, sensation, or just a kind of knowing that it is there. And you can begin to take this healing energy into you. Feel it running through your body, through your spirit, through the very core of your being. If there is any particular area within you that needs healing, concentrate the healing energy into that area. Become aware. Notice the changes as the energy moves in you. Allow the healing energy to move over you and through you, like a shower of iridescent flashes of light and sparks. Allow the exquisite sensation to make its way to your mind, to your knowledge, and allow yourself, if you wish, to have a vision. And again, get in touch with the energy of healing. Now, as you draw it into your body, you may become aware of the source of that energy, or you may not. It doesn't matter. Just know that it comes from a place of wholeness, a place of universal consciousness. a place of divinity. And as you draw it in, bring it down through the top of your head, through your heart, all the way down to the base of your spine to energize and recharge your vital forces. And as you take in the energy now, bringing it in through the top of your head and down through your heart, take it also down through your arms, coursing down your arms. And you feel your hands becoming energized. Feel your arms as channels. The energy coming in through the top of your head, through your heart, and down your arms, moving to your hands and out through the palms of your hands. Let the heart and the brain come together and the energy come out of your hands. Sensualize it radiating outward from your palms. You might feel it as a tingling. Allow yourself to use this energy emanating from your hands for healing in whatever way you wish. Either placing your hands on another person and giving them this universal healing energy, or placing your hands on your own body to heal yourself in whatever way you choose. Use this energy to heal. Right now, across time and space, powered up through our connection with each other. You may wish to extend the healing to the earth. It is almost time to close your meditation. So take a few moments to notice where energy has concentrated in your body. You may wish to distribute that energy all the way down to your feet and toes, if there is a concentration, and all the way to your fingertips and through all of your organs. So that the energy is evenly distributed and comfortable for you. And now, in your own time and in your own way, give your thanks and appreciation for what you have received, and allow yourself to close your meditation without shutting off to the source of the healing energy. When you are ready, allow yourself to return. Re-emerge and reawaken, arousing yourself and becoming present back in the outside space with your eyes open. We'll give it a few more seconds till everyone's back. Well, you guys are a pretty powered up group of people. Wow. Did you feel that? So can we have some comments about it? Oksana, what's up with you? What'd you feel?
I felt just a very warm pool of energy, like union, I don't know, of energies of people who are here. And as you mentioned, it's a very, very powerful group. Because as soon as you said powered and send your energy, I felt like the energy started pumping, my body almost started shaking. And I know this is a sign when, you know, my vibrations are going up. I'm lighting up, and it was pretty powerful, you know, like, woo, and we are taking off. Like a rocket ship. It is very powerful indeed, and I'm still a little bit shaking. Sign of energy building up and rising, and yeah, I feel lots of warmth in general. To me, the sign of the connection, and I realized any meditation for me, when you mentioned meditation state, is about connecting with this divine source of energy, life, love, everything, healing as well. And it feels like warmth in my heart center, in my chest. And surprisingly, in the end, when you said thank you, or express your gratitude to this source, it's exactly the same warm feeling. So I mentioned that before, love and gratitude, they basically, it's the same door open in one way or another. So it's the same warmth. So I thank everyone for this great experience.
And we thank you for those comments. Can we hear from anybody else?
I guess I'll echo Andrea's comments. As a medical doctor, before I went to medical school, my first contact with absent healing was with a bunch of Rosicrucians in the Amorc tradition out of San Jose, but it was in Toronto. Somewhere, what I was just looking for, because I find all this very funny. I mean, meditations are great. I like it. There's a friend of mine just sent me this thing by Betty Martin called Wheel of Consent, and but what it reminded me of back in the late 70s, early 80s when I was in residency, is somebody did an exercise that influenced my practice for, you know, the 30 plus years I was in the ER, and it was that I could enjoy pleasure evoking the energy in my patients, in my hands, in my being, in the same way as I can be trying to generate energy. And one of the presuppositions that came out of that, which is, you know, echoed, as I think I mentioned before in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is that everybody has the light within, which is where the healing comes from. And so, you know, granted, medical doctors do things to people, and what I learned from those old healers is that we're just trying to resonate and bring healing out of our patients and our clients and so forth. And so that's informed my practice for so many years. And I thought this meditation, Judith, was going to go into this particular one. I'm another yoga, Qigong, Tai Chi guy for forever. And one of my favorites is where we go into the void. And so I thought that's just kind of where you were directing, but it didn't go that particular place. And so it's very nice. I put an inquiry into the universe literally 2 years ago right now about the me, not me border. And so I didn't get very specific because I was still formulating it. And so what showed up in my body was something they call Grover's disease, or a transient acanthalotic dermatitis, which is a bunch of itchy dots all over the place that I've had defining where my skin is and where my physical body border is with physical sensations. And so today I went back, and so the meditation, when I think you were spreading it out or something, and so my focus went to my skin. And so the challenge that we attained with this meditation was for me to sense all of my skin all at once. And so I have these habits. I tend to run the microcosmic orbit from Qigong when energy is picking up so that it distributes, but I thought the skin thing was really nice. And so I appreciate that. And so that's kind of that. And there are different traditions. Now I forget who was working with Alberto. A bunch of NLP modelers in 95 were signed up. We were scheduled to meet with Alberto Velodo in Utah, and he canceled and said, well, we got to meet my friend Americo Yamada, who's my 20 years later, or 25 years later, my shaman from Peru that we do a lot of heart-centric healing with. And what I really appreciate by those traditions is they only want to share. There's none of this business about what is it, cultural expropriation or something by stealing their meditations, or to take it all. It's their thing. It's all there. And so part of what I find very fun about all this stuff, and that, so it's made my practice in the ER really was great for 30 plus years, is that you find out what the individual there, just like Andrea, whoever shows up in her practice, what are they into? And so I carried little healing stones in my pocket for 25 years. So every now and then, I'm in Colorado, so we got a lot of boulderites and a lot of hippy-dippy folks out here. So every now and again, I whip out a stone and do a healing with it, energy cleaning and all this stuff. And mostly I'm known for, I also am a decent administrator. So I was a chief in private practice for 9 years, and then I went to Kaiser, which is a big HMO, and I was a chief there for 8 years while we built an ER. So working with people, particularly doctor type people who are really trained in reductionistic materialism as an approach to the body, and opening them to the possibility that they can communicate in other ways. Because my big crisis as a young man was, what do I do with my life? I'm sort of a geeky guy, and we did psychedelics in the 60s, and how do you integrate all this? And I was interested in mysticism and stuff and hypnosis in high school, and so I decided, well, I better suck it up and go the MD way, because when everything goes to hell in American medicine, people fall back on MDs. But if all they're going to do, like Andrea says, for back pain is operate, you got to have some of us out there interposing. And so that's kind of my whole thing. So it was a lovely meditation. I don't have the skills Oksana was talking about to notice what other people are doing, other than I like meditation and I have a good time. So thanks. And I just wanted to say that I keep expanding my network, Judith, of stuff that I'm doing. I was all trying it out on the addiction folks I'm working with. And so when I've done Mind Mirror with addicts, I had gone in hoping they would use it because it's such an easy system to train with. And that's not where they're at. And so then I did focusing for a year with Ann Cornell, thinking, well, I could get them to do focusing because at least it gets some body awareness. And so that wasn't, I couldn't get. So now I've spent the last year and a half working on internal family systems, formally training. And so eventually I'm going to get to the place where we do Mind Mirror after something, where we get people to at least notice their bodies so they notice the not body part. And I think part of medicine is that balance between, I can't remember, I think Jim, if somebody was talking about how you come back, I feel like when I get in these states, I'm sort of assigned to Earth, and so my deal is to hang on Earth as long as I do, and then go back. But when I have out of body stuff, it's just invigorating. I had one more thing, and I'll stop talking. I'm sorry, I talked too much. One of the problems I encounter frequently in the emergency room is that when people have more energy flow than their systems are capable of handling, and they have no meditative practice, they have nothing. That drives crazy thoughts in their heads. And so most of the addicts have had some kind of trauma, and they're self-medicating, and they're screwed by our system pretty much, and finding a way through that, because really energetic healing, I think, and spiritual healing is the way to go. And I do think, I love the Mind Mirror. I think it's so cool, but getting people to work at it who don't have a meditative practice turns out to be more difficult than I expected. So there's my 2 cents worth.
We appreciate your 2 cents. Does anybody else have 2 cents they want to throw in there?
I just want to say that's worth more than 2 cents to me.
Okay, 3 cents.
We wouldn't turn it into an auction.
Judith, I'd like to say that I wish I could put you in my pocket and take you around with me. That was an excellent meditation. I feel energy in several different ways. One of them is like I've been on a roller coaster, and I've just gone down the hill, so my stomach's up there somewhere, and my body's down here, or vice versa. I still have that feeling. And the energy worked for me. I have an area of chronic pain that has gone away right now. And I'll take that anytime I can get it. And thank you very much. You're the best.
Fantastic. And Anna Wise, the writer of that meditation. And all of us here, I mean, I know there was some amplification in this field because I have many times felt in meditation the palms of my hands tingle and energy in it. But this time it was almost like a microwave. I mean, I felt this waves on the outsides of my hands in a field. I mean, it was a wave motion. It was like a radiating wave motion. It was just really, really strong. I hope that's why I added in that stuff about remember how this feels. and I also added into this meditation the whole idea of redistributing your energy, because I don't know, you could do it with a show of hands if you want. For me, this energy coalesces in the third eye and the crowns, and it gets so strong I can't tell the difference between the two. It's just one field. And Edgar Casey said that energy will gather in various places in your body, and the healthiest thing to do is to redistribute it. That's how you ground the energy, and that's how you don't walk out of your house picking up the thoughts of everyone who walks by who may not want you to do that, and you may not want to do that either. I mean, it's really making an antenna of you, a psychic antenna, literally, by charging up your chakra system. But I'd never had that experience with my hands before. That was powerful. I don't know which one of you or all of you together turned that on, but I want to thank you. That was really kind of amazing. Do you feel that, Andrea? Do you feel anything in your hands?
I do. That tends to be where I send from, especially if somebody has like a physical pain or problem. So with channeling the breath, I channel the energy then into my palms, and then I can distribute it wherever I need it to go, whether I'm saving some for me or beaming it out through my hands and then beaming out through the heart later.
I think you did it, Andrea, because my hands are vibrating again as soon as you started talking.
Oh gosh, sorry.
No, good. I think, of course, we all did it together because it is a resonant field, but you're definitely having an effect, because here goes the left hand for no reason. Of course, there is every reason that we should be amplifying for ourselves. But I can tell you that not in this meditation, because we're not hooked up for this one, but in practitioner trainings, this is where people blow into evolved mind and gamma synchrony patterns. So part of that distribution of energy is to bring you back down into an awakened mind or a superconscious mind, ground you back into your theta and your delta, so that everything's in balance and you're feeling good and groovy. And anything else anybody wants to say before we close this? Because I feel like I'm just going to float right on off. And the more we say, the farther away we get from the feeling.
I just wanted to chime in that I felt it in my hands too, and that's not usual, so it was new. And thank you very much.
Excellent.
For me, it was of the heart. It's still pulsing.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Right where it needs to be, right?
Callie wants to say something.
Great to be here. I'm just like joining this community, so thank you for having me. I found that meditation really nourishing. It felt like a warm sunlight. I've been doing yesterday and today and the last few weeks an emotional processing course, dancing erotic feminine archetypes, and it's kind of stirred up some shame in my system. So I felt quite soothing for that. To me, the sense of healing was like more like emotional than physical. I could notice how they were connecting. So to me, it felt like almost like holding almost like my inner child, and then feeling almost like the ways that my physical body has contracted and not had a full moving of my life force because of, I think, some of my early trauma. So there was like a sense of like holding that part of me and giving it love, and then that kind of energetic moving into more expansion into my kind of physical and life body. Yeah, and I felt just like afterwards very, very energized. So, thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I love that the way Anna included, maybe you're going to have a vision and leaves you alone with that. So in the very quiet space there's your opportunity to hear from the part that needs healed, or the parts. Thank you for that sharing. Hope to see you here. We go from the profound, we'll just say, to the sublime. Thank you again. We'll see you next time. May you ride out on waves of happy light.